Week 3. Week 3. We are in already. Jesus, game week 3 already? Damn. We're here. Week 3. Week 2 was interesting, wasn't it? For all sorts of reasons, which we're going to get into, obviously. I'm not going to spend too much time, obviously, talking on this because I've got other things that I'm going to be doing at the moment. So I'm going to be really, really quick with this one before the game this evening. Chelsea versus Luton, in case anyone doesn't know. Friday Night Football on for the 3rd week in a row now. Yeah, it's nice. I kind of like it, to be quite honest. Last week's match was Nottingham Forest versus Sheffield United. That was on the Friday last week. Nottingham Forest ended up winning that game 2-1, I think it was. Really, really decent game. I didn't actually get to see it, but I did see a couple of the highlights. And Nottingham Forest, again, their home form is going to be absolutely crucial to them staying up this season. Again, I see them doing it. Sheffield United are another one of my teams that I do predict going down. But that was from the City ground last week. Not Forest ended up getting their first points of the season. Of course, Luton versus Burnley was postponed, so that's going to be played at another time. Liverpool 3, Bournemouth 1. Again, formality result. Liverpool, I knew would win. Wasn't expecting the sending off from McAllister. I understand that's now been overturned. Bournemouth played well. Bournemouth played really well for the first sort of quarter of an hour. Liverpool obviously got back into it and ended up being a breeze for them come the end of the game. Really, really good result for them. Hearing Mo Salah could be on his way to Saudi Arabia. So obviously I'll keep up to date on that if anything should happen. Wolverhampton versus Brighton. That was from Molyneux. I think Matoma's already in for goal of the season contender already. What a goal that was for Matoma for Brighton, who ended up scoring 4 again for the second week running. Really, really, really good football under De Zerbi. Wolverhampton, I still think will be okay. But it's one of those results that will go against you if you allow Brighton to play football. This is what they can do to you. This is what happens. So I'm not necessarily surprised by the result, but the manner of the result I thought would be a little bit, a little bit short-sighted. Not as big as that deficit. But Brighton ended up being 4-1 winners. Fulham 0, Brentford 3. That's the 3rd red card game in a row. Shocking from Fulham. Absolutely shocking from Fulham. I expected better from them. And Burmo and Visser on the score sheet once again. For Brentford, ended up winning 3-0 quite easily and quite convincingly. So Brentford obviously picking up from where they left off last season. Currently still, are they undefeated still currently? They had us. And then they play. Yeah, of course they are. Yeah, so 4 points from their first 2 games. Looking really decent. They're a really, really useful outfit, and they will give a lot of teams problems with their style of play as well, especially with Ivan Toney out also. So no, lots more to come from Brentford and from Fulham, to be fair. I think Fulham is one of those where, that result will kind of wake them up, and you won't see another result like that at Craven Cottage all season. Tottenham versus Man United. Saturday Night Football, that one. I did call a 2-1, I believe it was. Man United literally could have been out of sight in that first half. Didn't put their chances away, especially Bruno Fernandes, the one that he ballooned over the bar from like 2 yards out with a header. That should have been Man United's breakthrough in the first half. But as they say in football, if you don't score goals, you will be punished. And punish them we did. Papa Matasar, first goal for the club since he's been there. Well taken finish right into the roof of the net after Kulusevski work down the right-hand side. And the second one was an own goal from Martinez. Ben Davies kind of scuffed his Perisic cross, scuffed it into the ground, and then obviously, trying to clear it, Martinez puts it into his own net. Fairly convincing in the second half, to be fair, from us. Didn't really look like we were going to be in any trouble. And so it proved. So, no, Ange ball is taking full effect. And there's still a couple of more faces that are looking to come in before the window shuts as well. Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0. That was live from the Etihad. A little bit of a boring game, I'm going to be honest. Usually these games kind of explode into life. This one never seemed to catch a fuse. Great goal from Julian Alvarez, and I thought from that you might be able to see some of the best football you're about to see from 2 of the better teams this season, but it didn't materialise that way. Foden was being Foden. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne missing, so Foden should get a lot of game time now. And he absolutely bossed proceedings, to be fair. He was the man of the match for me during that game, kind of sort of picking up the pockets, finding that space, linking everything together from midfield up to Erling Haaland, who was a little bit unlucky with his finishing, but you would expect him to do a lot better as well with a couple of the chances that he did have. Newcastle didn't really have any sort of outlets going forward. Don't really remember them having any clear-cut chances to, sort of score any goals, to be quite honest with you. So it was a little bit disappointing from them. So I would be expecting better from them this weekend at home versus Liverpool, which we'll obviously get to in a little bit. Villa Park, this was part of Super Sunday. Aston Villa 4, Everton 0. Again, another one that was pretty much a formality for me. Aston Villa I knew would go there and probably whitewash them, and whitewashing they did. I actually had this as a 3-0 victory to Villa, ended up being 4 instead. Everton, I think, are in trouble this season again. As I always seem to be now for the best part of about the last 5 seasons. Aston Villa will obviously be in the top half of the table, of course. But Everton, where do you start? Defensively are going to be one of the worst. For me personally, I think they play too deep. Away from home, they can't seem to find a formula. At home will be a lot of, it'll be a bit of a different atmosphere for them, a difficult place to go, Goodison usually is. But away from home, they are woeful, and they are literally statistically one of the worst teams in the league at the moment, especially pertaining to the last 3 seasons as well. West Ham 3, Chelsea 1, another sending off. I think this might have been a record for the most sendings off in a weekend. I think I've counted 5 or 6 cards, red cards as well at that. West Ham 3, Chelsea 1, and West Ham won that with 10 men. They scored when they went down to 10 men as well. Chelsea were absolutely abysmal. So I say, though, I don't think had any pre-season. So it was a little bit of a weird one as to why Poch decided to give him minutes in a game when they're losing. That made literally no sense to me at all. And he got punished for it. 105 million, Enzo Fernandez misses a penalty. 115 million, Saicedo gives away a penalty in the same game. Yeah, poetic justice. You couldn't write that, to be quite honest. And obviously West Ham have run away 3-1 winners at the London Stadium. So another loss there for Chelsea. Chelsea obviously in action tonight. They will be in a couple of hours' time as they take on Luton at Stamford Bridge. And I think I might go for a draw for that one, to be quite honest with you. Last game then, Monday Night Football for last weekend. Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 1. Another sending off there. This one I don't think was rescinded for Tomiyasu, who was a second half substitute. Unlucky on Palace. I thought Palace should have had a penalty at the very least. But Arsenal, obviously being Arsenal, do like to ride their luck quite a lot. Very decent goal that they scored as well with regards to the penalty. Great penalty from Odegaard. But yeah, one of those games. Arsenal could have easily lost it, but they didn't. So it's 6 points from their first 2 games with a nice and easy third one coming up. Sorry about that. My car just came on for no reason. And yeah, they'll obviously keep on doing what they're doing. Another nice and easy one this weekend as well, which we'll get into roundabout now. Week 3, Premier League. Obviously, as I said tonight, Chelsea versus Luton from Stamford Bridge. I've said a 1-1 draw. I've been saying a 1-1 draw all day today. And I don't know why. It's one of those where Chelsea should turn up and absolutely smash Luton to pieces. But I don't see it like that. I think Luton are going to come there to try and defend. And of course, as they do that, Chelsea are not one for free-flowing football and scoring goals at the moment. So I think they could come unstuck. This could be a 1-1 game. I'm going with a draw for this one. I could be absolutely wrong. Of course, Chelsea can obviously run out 4-0 winners. But I just think like they got something missing. And I'm not entirely sure. I'm not convinced that they're going to do the business up front tonight. Even if they do get the chances, who's going to put them away? So 1-1 for me on that one, to be quite honest with you. Bournemouth versus Tottenham. That's the early kickoff tomorrow. That's live from the Vitality Stadium. James Maddison looks like he might be missing. So Spurs will probably have to go with a GL Celso in the starting 11 ahead of him. I do anticipate a Spurs win. I think we'll beat them 3-1. There'll be goals, obviously, from both teams. Both teams to score will be a good bet and an acca. Brentford versus Crystal Palace from the G-Tech Stadium. I'm going to go with a Brentford narrow win of 2-1. Palace have obviously started the season very well. Obviously lost to Arsenal last time out. Very toothless in front of goal at the moment. And Brentford aren't necessarily the team you want to be facing if you want to go and pick up points. So I will say a Brentford win on that. Arsenal versus Fulham. Again, Fulham were not very good last week against Brentford. And Arsenal are formidable at home. So that's an easy win for Arsenal for me. I'm going to go with a 3-0 Arsenal win there as well. Man United versus Nottingham Forest. That's a Man United win. That'll probably be their first points of the season. They've won a game already. That'll be their second points of the season. They weren't very good against us last week even. So I think they will do the business against Forest. And I'm going with a 2-0 win for Manchester United there. Everton versus Wolves. That's at Goodison Park. That's got draw written all over it. Both are very terrible at the moment. And I'll go with a 1-1 draw on that one. You can obviously use these for your rackets if you want to. Then we've got the evening game, which is from the Amex. That's Brighton versus West Ham United. That's a Brighton win for me. I'm going to go 3-1 to Brighton. There's going to be a lot of goals in these games over the weekend as well. Brighton is always a goal fest, and I do see them scoring another 3 goals. That'll be an over 2.5 goals a game for me in that one. Sheffield United versus Manchester City. That is from Bramall Lane. That's a Manchester City away win, hands down, 2-3-0 for me. Sheffield United are not even going to get a sniff. Erling Haaland to be on a score sheet again. Burnley versus Aston Villa, I believe, is Super Sunday. That is from Turf Moor. Aston Villa are in decent form. Had a really, really good result against Hibernian in midweek in the Europa League qualifier. Beating 5-0, Ollie Watkins hat-trick. And I do see Watkins on the score sheet again, continuing that streak. Burnley to lose to Aston Villa this weekend. And then we've got Newcastle versus Liverpool to complete Super Sunday. I'm going to go with a Newcastle win. Mohamed Salah, obviously, the talk is all about him now going to Saudi Arabia potentially. And if he does go, that's Liverpool finish for me. I don't know who they're going to sign if he does go, with regards to the pedigree he brings and the goals he obviously brings to that side in the Premier League also. Newcastle win for me, as they are formidable at home. That's my roundup for the week. I'll do another roundup in the week next, of course. Friday night football is on again. Luton do feature, and they will be at home against West Ham. So that's the first Luton game at Kenilworth Road in the Premier League this season. That'll be next week, Friday the 1st, 8 o'clock kickoff. So we'll start from there. I'll probably do one on a Thursday or Friday anyway. But until then, try and enjoy your weekend. It is the long weekend as well, with the bank holiday being on a Monday. And I'll speak to you next week.